Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sessions Cafe, brought to you by Entrigue magazine. I'm your host, Keri D. Singleton, and today we welcome Marcie Delapaz to the show. The way that it rolls off my tongue, I want to say it again. Can I say it again?
Say it again.
Delapaz.
I love it.
Delapaz.
Yes.
I love you, Marcie.
I love you too,
Welcome
Keri.
to Sessions Cafe, sweetheart. And
Thank you.
You're from Brooklyn.
Yes, I am. Born and bred.
Born and bred in Brooklyn.
Sunset Park.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't want no problems. And your parents are of Cuban descent.
Yes. My parents came here. My mom came in the 60s.
Okay.
After the Castro regime.
Wow.
And my father came in the 50s.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Havana? Are they from the capital?
My mom is from Santiago de Cuba.
Okay.
And my father is from Havana, so.
Now, a couple of weeks back in March, I actually went on my very first cruise, and we passed by, we sailed north of Cuba, but close enough so that I could see the skyline of Havana in the background.
Oh, my
goodness. And the other thing that was fascinating, truly fascinating, the mountain range was ridiculous. I could not believe that a Caribbean island would have such a mountainous range. It was awesome, looked beautiful. But I never got to go to Cuba yet. But one thing I love about Cuba, other than its people and its culture, is the food.
Oh, the food, yes.
I love me some Cuban food.
Yes.
Can you cook?
I could cook that all day.
See.
I was trained very well.
See?
Definitely.
I didn't know Marcie. And Marcie and I live in the same part of New York City, you guys.
Yeah, that's crazy, right?
I think I'll be knocking on your door a little.
You'll be like, hey, you got those rice and beans?
Exactly. But you, speaking of the part of the city that we both live in, you moved to Staten Island a decade ago.
Yeah.
A decade ago. So you spent most of your life, obviously, in Brooklyn.
Yes.
So in your opinion, what are some of the differences between the borough of Staten Island and the borough of Brooklyn? Because they're both in the same city, but they're pretty much...
It's a different culture out there, man. It's a different animal. Well, being raised, born in the 70s and being raised in the 80s and 90s, you know, Brooklyn was what Brooklyn is.
Yeah.
You know, Brooklyn has changed a lot now.
Yeah.
You know, there has been a lot of changes, a lot of new incomers.
Yeah.
My neighborhood is not the same as it used to be.
Right.
You know, when we go there, it's like, oh my God, you know, it's just not, the originality is not there anymore.
Right.
Staten Island.
Well, native Staten Islanders would say the same thing.
Yeah.
That's pretty much universal. The world has changed.
I think so too. The world has changed, yeah,
but
definitely.
you were saying, I'm sorry.
But, you know, Brooklyn to me is always going to be hip hop.
Yeah.
Brooklyn to me is always going to be the diversity.
Right.
You know, Staten Island is, yeah, you do have, but I call it the tales of two cities. You have the South Shore and the North Shore.
Right.
I'm on the North Shore.
Right.
But you can definitely see the difference.
Between the two sections of the borough. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always been like that.
Yeah.
Which I really don't know, you know, there's such a division on there, right?
Explain, because a lot of our viewers have no idea what the North Shore is versus the South Shore, what the differences might be.
I think it has to do with ideology. I think it has to do a lot with you know, the South Shore being more of you know, white ethics there, and
very Italian,
very you know, white culture, and you know. Then you have the North Shore, which is a diversity between black and brown community. Right. And there's a lot of arts also there as well.
Right, right.
Definitely.
Although, you know, Sandy Ground, a very historic black neighborhood, in fact, the oldest continuously inhabited black neighborhoods in the nation is on the South Shore of Staten Island. A lot of people don't know that. Right by Rossville and areas that are traditionally known to be very, very, very white.
Yeah.
And that neighborhood could not be any blacker. So a lot of diversity in Staten Island. It's not just about Wu-Tang and the Force MDs.
Right.
It's a lot more.
It is.
It's a lot more than that. But let's get back to you. You worked in corporate America for Dow Jones, Disney, ABC. What was that world like for you?
Oh, God. Well, I did corporate travel for 25 years, and then I retired.
Okay.
But had the opportunity to learn a lot of how the inside looks, right?
Yeah.
Throughout those companies.
Right.
And their policies and, dealing with a lot of CEOs, VPs, celebrities.
Right.
We did a lot of celebrities.
Right.
And it was a good time. But because of that, the knowledge that I acquired being in corporate America, I was able to basically really apply it to now.
Right.
In real life and also in my business.
Right.
So.
And we're going to get into some of your business, specifically your photography business.
Yeah.
What sparked your love of photography?
My love for photography, I want to say, came from my parents.
Okay. Wow.
Yes, my father, he had 100 different types of cameras there.
Wow.
And every single trip that we would take, he would bring that camera with him. And as a child, you observe and you see. And then I was like, wow, I didn't understand it so much back then.
Right.
But then as I've gotten older, I saw the beautiful images and the pictures that he was able to capture.
Okay.
So that sparked my interest, as being a photographer.
Okay. And we talking about landscapes, skylines?
I started with the landscapes.
Okay.
But I really started the business after I retired. I didn't want to stay home and not do anything.
Right.
I said this is a perfect opportunity for me to be able to really put my passion, what I really loved.
Right.
Because, you get married, you have kids, you work, you don't have that time.
Right.
So you put some times of your love and your passion to the side because you have to, life is lifing.
Right.
Right? So basically, I was like, okay, this is my opportunity. I took it as that. And then I just picked up a camera and I started. And I was like, this is really great.
And just immersed yourself in the beauty of capturing moments.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow.
And but the most beautiful part about it is that when you do the editing, you could take a raw picture and just create a beautiful painting with that, and that's what really intrigued me on how I was able to manipulate the images and be able to create something that you capture in your camera, but then you can make it 10 times better.
Right, wow.
So
you can just enhance and...
Yes.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like magic almost.
A little bit. Disney magic.
Disney magic. You've also been an event coordinator, helping businesses with their branding and also with expansion of said brands.
Yes.
How is that in terms of creativity? Is it like are you able to tap into your creative side when you're doing business branding at all?
Yes, you have to, because you're putting an event together, right? And you're able to create a scenery, be able to have a platform where you're able to help these small business communities be able to come aboard.
Right.
And, the events could be anywhere, any venue.
Right.
It's what you put into it. It's the energy that you put into it, how people proceed to see, oh, this is a great event.
Right.
It takes a lot behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
To do that.
And that's important because the event is going to represent not just your brand,
right.
but not just the brand that you're having the event for, but also your brand as well. So it's a duality there that's really, really important.
Definitely. And people say, well, how did you go from a photographer to an event coordinator to, even a podcaster? Because I do have also my podcast show. But I was able, because I wanted to start selling my prints, I started to attend a lot of the fairs.
Right.
So when I started to do that, I came across a person that was building and creating an organization to do the event coordination business. Unfortunately, she left, and I picked up on the business, and it's going to be 8 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, of all the events that you've done for different businesses, what do you think? Which one do you think gave you the opportunity to be most creative?
Oh my God. Do you want me to think that far back, Keri? I don't know. I can say basically the events that I've had in Industry City.
Okay, in Brooklyn.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
That was inspiring to me because I felt like not only, besides doing the small little events around Staten Island, I wanted to grow out of that, and I said this could be bigger.
Right.
So definitely, when I saw the opportunity for me to be able to be in Industry City, I was like, this is great.
Wow.
You know, and then that encouraged me even more to say, if I could be here, I could be there.
Right.
And then I just started to grow and have other different locations where I feel that it will be beneficial for those small businesses to be able to grow their business as well.
Right, and that's so important because businesses, I mean, you have your mom and pops, you have your smaller businesses, but most businesses want to, at least by some degree, they want to expand.
Right.
And I think that being able to expand your business, regardless to what type of business it is,
right.
It's just it's vital. It's part of the journey of being an entrepreneur, right?
Definitely, it is, and it's hard because a lot of people, they want to be able to do that, right? But sometimes people just do it as a hobby.
Yeah.
But I really would. The thing most is how serious a person is about their business and how really they want to put their brand out there. And things of that nature. But not only for small businesses, I also deal with talent.
Okay.
And local artists from Staten Island and even from Brooklyn, you know. So when I put these events together, definitely I give that platform for the local artists to be able to perform.
Right.
So, you know, they're like, oh my God, this is great. You know, sometimes the performers is even their first time performing in public, you know. So when I see that, I'm like, oh my God, this is really great because I see the happiness and I didn't think I could do that.
Right.
And it's like so gratifying because I was able to give that person that platform and that chance for them to really perform. And it's amazing. So I don't really even do it I do it out of love and passion. And I just love to see the results on there.
And now you've become a very prominent member of the Black and Minority Chamber of Commerce for Staten Island, which is Richmond County. And when we come back, we'll get into all of that, all right? We'll be right back. And we're back with Marcie Delapaz. So now you are the new Hispanic Initiative Director and Events Coordinator for the Black and Minority Chamber of Commerce for Richmond County, which is synonymous with Staten Island.
Yes.
That's a long title. What does that mean? What are you doing over there in Staten Island?
Well,
what is all of that, the Hispanic Initiative Director?
Yes. Well, Hispanic Initiative, because it's Black and Minority, we was able to create a new section, right? A new department for the Latin-based community.
In Staten Island?
In Staten Island. And we were able to open up that platform because not only for the, you know, brown and minority people, it also has to do with the culture. It has to do with a lot of them is because of the language barrier.
Correct.
So I was like, well, you know, let's open up something here and be able to entice more Latin-based businesses from Staten Island onto our BMC.
Right.
There's so many Hispanics in Staten Island.
Yes.
You know, we have over 97,000 Hispanics living on Staten Island, and the majority of them do have small businesses.
Right.
A lot of them are, you know, from the Mexican culture and, you know, South American.
Right.
And they have wonderful storefronts, little shops, you know, mom and pop shops and things of that nature. Restaurants, Mexican restaurants.
Yeah, we have a lot of those.
Yes, definitely. So, you know, of course, I wanted to be able to start bringing that in.
Right.
You know, so we was like, okay, let's do the Hispanic Initiative. So, which I believe it's going very well. We just had a workshop done on Zoom online, and trying to entice and bring more members to join BMC. So of course, through seasons, we will be working more on those type of things as for the Hispanic Initiative. And I'm also the event coordinator there, basically to create more events and more awareness about BMC in Staten Island.
So let me ask you a pretty deep question. Speaking of coalitions, this is just your opinion. What do you think about the Black and Brown coalition nationally? In other words, is there really a coalition? I've heard different opinions. Is there really a united front in this country between African American people and Latinos from the Caribbean, from Central and South America, and then with Black people from the continent? Do you think there's a real coalition between those three groups?
I think
or those
so.
multiple groups?
I think so. We all come from there, you know.
I know that, you know that, but a lot of
people don't know that.
Right,
so they should learn some history.
Right, they should.
Because I believe that, you know, Latin, we're not even a race.
Right. You're all connected by language.
By language, by you know, we have African descent, we have indigenous.
Correct.
We have the European.
From Spain, yeah.
Yes.
All right.
So we carry that, you know, within our bloodline.
Right.
So, but it all traces back to the motherland, which is in Africa.
Right.
You know, we all have that. That's why it's called Black and Brown community.
And what are some of the differences between the struggles of Black Americans, Blacks from Africa, and brown people? I hate those terms, but that's what we have.
Yeah.
From the Caribbean, whether they be from the Dominican Republic, whether they be from Cuba, Haiti, Jamaica, or wherever. What do you think are some of the differences in our struggles here in the United States?
I don't think there's any. Well, to me, personally, the struggles will be the language, right?
Right.
That will be the first. But as far as the majority of it, we all have work ethics in us.
Right.
You know, we all have the same type of ideology where you have to work to take care of your family.
Exactly.
You know, you have to be able to create, you know, either it's a business or work or, you know, education. You know, like for instance, talking about Cuba, which is, of course, in Latin Caribbean, we are one of the highest in education.
Right.
And they're all mandatory to go to school.
Right.
You know, so that's how we are able to elevate educationally.
Yes.
And be able to go to other countries and teach what we was taught. You know, so that to me, that's what's more in value.
Right.
We're all different and from coming from different cultures and countries, right? But what unites us together is the same ideology that we all have as far as raising family, raising children, working hard, and basically, you know, creating a better lifestyle.
Right.
And I believe that we all come together in the same way. What's the difference? There can be difference, but I feel like when it comes to those points, I think we're all the same.
Speaking of which, and I'm digging, because you are so culturally aware, Marcie.
I try to be.
And let's talk about the cohesion among Latinos specifically. Cubans, those hailing from the Dominican Republic, Puerto Ricans, and those that live in Central and South America. What connects the Latino community from the Rio Grande all the way down to the southern tip of South America?
It could be history, it could be the bloodline, it could be the culture. That's what connects us all. We're all a little different. We have a little different of a slang. You know, we could say, we say one thing as far as, let's say, for instance, the rice, right? The rice, we say raspa in Cuban, but you ask a Dominican what that is, you'll call it congo. Okay. And then the Puerto Ricans, they have another word. I should know this because I'm married to a Puerto Rican. Pegao. Okay. That's what they say. So things like of that.
Different slang.
Different slang. A lot of them, it's just basically, like I said before, it's a lot of the same ideology as far as the culture. Because if you really go, like if you go to Cuba, you see the black African women's with the tobacco and the dresses and the dance and all that stuff. That has been passed out throughout the culture, throughout the Caribbean, right? You see the Puerto Ricans doing it. You see the Dominicans. They have a little bit of a difference, but it's all really the same. You know, so as far as like even the voodoo culture, you know, it's throughout history, throughout the Caribbean. So there are things that are very similar, but there are also things that separate. That you know, that's a Cuban, that's a Puerto Rican, that's a Dominican. You know, that's how you would know, oh, that's a Mexican or a Guatemalan. Right. You know, so you would know the difference between that. Sometimes even within the language, I could speak to even an Ecuadorian. Right. You know, we would understand, but then once they say a phrase or something else, I'm like, what does that mean? Right, right. You know, so that differentiates between
the different nations and countries. So I'm going to ask you, I'm going to just ask you an honest question.
Sure, go ahead.
Of all,
Keri,
of all the Latin countries, from Mexico down to the southern tip of South America and all throughout the Caribbean. Who's the best cook?
What? What? Oh
what country gives up the best arroz con pollo?
Listen, let me tell you something. I'm going to say the Cubans.
Of course
sorry.
you are.
I'm going to say that.
But aren't you a little bit biased, though? Aren't you? Just a little bit.
Listen, I got to give it to the Puerto Ricans, too.
Okay.
You know, because they are. They put their foot into the food. And I was raised on Puerto Rican food, too. Okay. You know, but Dominican, Dominicans are good, too, man.
See,
I can't choose.
You're spreading it thin, okay.
But always number one.
Okay.
Cubans.
In my opinion?
Yes. What's your opinion?
Sorry, I just came from Mexico. I'm tempted to side with my Mexican brothers and sisters, although the Cubans. The thing is, I like spicy.
Yes.
So as a result, I'm gonna lean towards the Mexicans and the Cubans. Yeah. Because I do like the spices, and
I love Mexican.
I love Colombian food too.
Yeah. Colombian food is good too. I really do. I mean, like I said, they all have flavor. Right. 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 They all have flavor. They all have a different dish. They have a dish of their, country. Right. You know, like us, we're white rice and black beans with the chicken and the avocado salad.
Oh my God, I'm starving now. Starving.
You know, then you got the Puerto Ricans with the red beans and the yellow rice. Right. You know, with the pernil and all that good stuff. You know, then you got the Dominicans.
All right. That's enough.
You already know, Keri.
I'm salivating over here. Let's talk, before we wrap up, let's talk about your podcast.
My podcast. Oh, my God. Well, my podcast is called Let Your Voices Be Heard Podcast Show. Okay. And that's how exactly you would search for it. Okay. The whole thing, Let Your Voices Be Heard Podcast Show. I started it around COVID time. Okay. When there was no events happening, I couldn't do anything. So I said, well, how am I going to be able to promote these small businesses? Like, how is it that I'm going to get people on, if I can't do anything? So there was a podcast workshop at the Hub 17 in Staten Island. Okay. And I was like, do you know what? This is really interesting. Yeah. And I always worked in, media companies like Disney. So I've always been familiar with media and arts and entertainment. So I was like, you know what, let me give this a shot, see how this would work. So I started to do the workshop, and then I was like, you know what, because I've accumulated so many of the relationships with the small business owners, I was able to get them on the show.
Right. Okay.
And they was like, oh, you got a podcast show? This is great.
Right.
So I was like, yeah, come on down. So, you know, I've been doing it since 2020.
Yeah, we all got creative around the COVID era.
Yeah, we sure did.
We had to.
we had to.
Yeah.
Definitely. But that was one way that I was able to do that. Right. And every month I was just basically having different guests coming on. I would interview them and they would tell me about their struggles and strife about, you know, how their business is either going under or how it was working.
How they were trying to survive.
How they were trying to survive. So there was a lot of sob stories.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. But my last episode was last year because the time consumes me so much with my photography and the event coordination. It's sometimes hard for me to get guests on. But when I do, it's gratifying. I love it. Because I'm able to chat like I'm chatting with you, you know, and they're able to take that video with them and be able to post it on their social media or whatever the case may be, but they really do love the feeling of it. Yes, definitely.
And you provide such a great feeling.
Thank you, Keri.
You are wonderful. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Marcie.
Yes.
You got to come back because we got to talk more. And next time you got to bring me some food.
Oh my God. He's like, bring me some candy.
Yes. No, bring me some Cuban food. Thank you so much for being on the show, sweetie.
Thank you, Keri.
And we'll see you guys next week on Sessions Cafe.